Welcome everyone to the Pro Trader and Plus final GDP, durable goods, unemployment claims. My name is Lee Goldstein, the trading director at 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, not a financial advisor. It is possible to lose money trading futures. All the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. Okay, give me a heads up everyone that the sound is good. You should be able to see the charts. Welcome to everyone that's watching us on YouTube. There's a lot of little chores to do when you get ready for a trade room. You got to do the title screen, you got to turn on the video, you got to check the video, you got to make sure the charts are working, you got to make sure you're signed into all the accounts, make sure your computer's in sync, right? Everybody go to time.is and make sure your computer is in sync, so that when you get ready to trade, your time isn't all screwed up. All right, that's very important. So can you all hear me? Give me a heads up if you're out there. Who's out there this morning? Did anybody do any trading yet? Anybody? Testing 1 2 1 2. Oh, you know what? Okay, it might help if I put the mic on. That would be very helpful if I put the mic on. Now, can you hear me? Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. Let me start this video one more time. Welcome, everyone, to the Pro Trader and Plus final GDP, durable goods, unemployment claims. My name is Lee Goldstein, trading director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, not a financial advisor. All the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. Okay. Now give me a heads up. Okie doke, Alfonso, you can hear me. I'm assuming the sound is fine, so let's get cracking. Look at all the news that's coming out at the same time. You've got multiple reports this morning. We've got regular Thursday jobless claims. And then as part of GDP, you've got PCE prices, which is not the same as what's going on tomorrow. There's a different report with the producer price index, not the PPI, but the PCE price index is tomorrow. And there are some overlapping elements from GDP. Also, Goolsbee, a Fed head, might be speaking. So we've got quarterly GDP, we've got GDP monthly, initial jobless claims, some pricing info, some consumer spending info, retail inventory, wholesale inventory info. So, continuing quarterly profit info, durable goods, a major report on its own. So, it could be extremely difficult for a breakout. When you have so many news events, it can be difficult for a breakout. Now, the reality is GDP has been a trap trade for a while. And what's interesting about GDP, it has not been all that gigantic of a mover. Let's take a look at our spike sheet. And then, as a reminder, what is a spike sheet? A spike sheet is a tracking of the way that the news report moves when the news is first initially released. So we go back more than a year. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, almost 16 months of data. And when you look at the spikes, 31, 34, 34, 47, 69 is an anomaly back in September. That was the biggest spike that we've had in September. Everything else has been pretty well contained within, I'd say, 40 or less spikes, and more often than not, 35. All right? So our tiers should keep us safe, as they have for 13 out of 14 reports. The initial spike should allow us to manage the trap trade. Then, if you look at the max target column of the spike sheet, that shows us the potential for reversals. How did this report reverse each month? 22 last month when it spiked 28. That's not as good as we'd like to see. What we love is April. You had a 33 tick spike and a 63 tick reversal. March, 28 tick spike, 51 tick reversal. We love that. February, 28 spike, 76 reversal. All right. We like our gold trap. The data, the research says we should have a managed trade, and that's what we're planning for. Now, we did put up an MNQ breakout. I'm not a lover of the breakout because there's a lot of news. Now, funny things happen. So many years we've been doing this, and so many times when there's such a large amount of news, we used to get all worked up and we used to really not want to even trade the reports. Now we do so many more trap trades, which are great if the news disagrees with each other. In other words, maybe the durable goods news will be good, maybe the unemployment news will be bad, maybe the corporate profit will be as expected. In other words, what are the odds that all the news is going to be in one direction? Highly unlikely. But the funny thing, and the point that I was trying to make is, it used to be that when we had so much news, we would get all worked up and, oh, this is too risky to trade. There's too much news. So many times we've seen the market not respond nearly as impactfully as you would think when there's lots of news. I would say more often than not, we get surprised by the normalcy of the news reaction, even when there's a ton of news reports at the same time. What's going to happen today, most probably, is that GDP is going to be paid attention to the most. That's the most important news for today. Um, that's the reality, GDP. So that will most probably affect the news the most. The jobless claims will be moderately important, as will durable goods. Okay? So that's what we believe. That's how we think the news will be interpreted. And they're looking for durable goods new GDP of the quarterly is 3.7%. And then here's another interesting thing about GDP. There's actually 3 GDP reports. You've got advanced GDP, final GDP, and preliminary GDP. Here's the order: preliminary, advanced, final. Years ago, the only GDP we used to trade was preliminary. It was the most important, most impactful data. Then advanced, sometimes we traded. Final, we never traded, because final is, you've got 2 GDP reports that have already been released. It's not like the data is unknown. Final generally isn't releasing brand new data. And that's why it historically was less impactful. But over the years, that has changed somewhat, and all the GDP reports have the possibility of moving the market, especially when they're combined with other news. So we do expect a move. If we look at the history, the size of the moves, it's not phenomenally huge. It's moderate size moves. So that's our trade setup. Let's take a look at the DMM. We'll take a look at a couple of videos. Let's look at, before we look at the DMM, let's just for fun, let's see what happened last month on GDP. And keep in mind, because of tariffs and the way that orders were being placed before the tariffs were announced, 2 months ago's GDP was unnatural because there was a lot of buying of product before the tariffs took effect. So it influenced GDP in a way that made the report abnormal. I would think that today's GDP is a little bit more normal. I hate to use the word normal. There's no such thing as normal. Okay, so we had a gold breakout, sorry, gold trap on the left, MNQ breakout on the right. Not as much news last month as there was today. And we got a fill. It took a little bit of time. Now, there's something to remember about a trap trade. The idea of a trap trade, right, it's a specialized reversal trade. So, if the original direction of the move on the news is long and it doesn't fill you, and then 30 seconds later there's a big move to the downside, in reality you should not take that fill. You should only take the fill on a trap trade in the original direction of the spike. That's the proper way to trade a trap trade. Have we done it differently and often just waited a minute and taken whatever fill we get? Yes, we have. But if you really analyze the way the trap trade should take place, there's a move, it's in a direction. If you don't get filled in the original move, then it means your tiers and your setup might be too small. So that's the way that a trap trade honestly should be evaluated for whether or not you want to allow an entry. When you have this much news, however, there is a possibility the market could do a lot of moving around after the report, making a fill not in the original direction you should have been filled in, still having a possibility of being profitable. Trap trades can be a little bit complicated, but not so complicated that you should be afraid to trade them. All right. Now you could see that last month it did do a little bit of a reversal. It wasn't a great reversal. Gold was bullish before the report. You had an opportunity right there to get out with a little profit. Keep in mind with a trap trade, if you're really not good at managing a trap trade, no one's going to punish you if you hit the close button if you have a profit on the screen. It's not the best way to exit any trade, but if you see a profit and you just feel like you don't know what you're doing and you want out and you want to try and grab the profit before it goes away, like I said, you can hit the close button. We don't recommend that as the proper way to exit any trade. So you could see last month, not a great reversal, and then the MNQ didn't have a very exciting move either. And we have seen a little bit of muted moves on GDP compared to what we would think GDP would really give us. I think we will get a pretty decent move today, particularly because there's a collection of reports. We're now third month into tariff news. So I think we should see a pretty sizable reaction. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right, but I think we'll get a reaction. And you could see the MNQ really was not a very good tradable reaction. Let's look at the DMM. So a whole bunch of family members got together last night. I have like a gigantic TV in my living room. It's like bigger than the whole living room. I mean, it's really big. And everybody came over to watch Final Destination Bloodlines. Oh my God. Now, Calvin has a great suggestion. You can use buy bid to exit short, sell bid, sell ask to exit long. Okay. Now, Calvin, the only reason I say if you're like not knowing what's going on, usually you would hit the close button if you're in a panic. And usually if you're in a panic, you don't have time to think, well, I'll do a buy bid to get out of a short. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then your sell asks to get out. You're not thinking that clearly. But good suggestion. Good suggestion, though. All right. So, DMM. Okay. So, right click the chart, click strategies, double click trap trade. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. All that means is you have one contract for each tier, each order. It's an 8:30 event. We're going to trigger our orders onto the chart at 8:29:55, 5 seconds before the news. The trap trade puts our orders on the chart, and we don't do anything with them. We don't have to worry about moving them or adjusting them in the old days we used to. And we'll talk about that one day, the adjust button. 25 on the stop on the trap trade. Tier 1 is 25. Tier 2. Tier is just a bracket. Bracket 1 is 25. Bracket 2 is 40. And it could be 26 or 27. Tiers are in a range. It's just traditional when we designed the trap trade years ago. That's the way we did it. Uh-huh. I like it. All right. I'm going to trade this in my funded account that I'm working on here. I think that this is a good opportunity. And I'm going to label it GC Trap. And that's basically the setup. You don't do a lot to set up a trap trade. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. Triggering at 8:29:55, 25 stop. Tier 1 is a 25. Tier 2 is a 40. I do not use the cancel feature. If I'm going to cancel, I cancel manually always. Choose your account, label your trade, apply it, and OK it. Change your chart trader to the correct account so you see your orders. You could spread the chart a little bit so the trap trade isn't all scrunched up, all the orders aren't scrunched. Turn on the trade, okay, by checking the enabled box. And then I'm also going to add a second gold possible setup. Right click strategy, double click news trader. Trade type is going to be reverse continuation with just one position. It's $10 a tick on gold. We'll go for a 30 tick target and a 30 tick stop. All you need to set up a reverse continuation trade is a position, a target, and a stop. You need nothing else. It's very simple and very quick to set it up. Choose the account. If it's on the same chart as my trap trade, I will trade this after the trap trade is over. If I'm going to trade it at all, it's discretionary. So it gets the same account and it gets a label GC reverse continue. Why do we label our trades? Apply it and OK it. Because when you look at your trades on the control panel, when they're labeled under strategy, you can differentiate between your two trades. You can see them. So if you need to cancel, hey, if all of a sudden 3 seconds before the news I'm screaming in the room, cancel the trap trade, all you have to do is uncheck the checkbox and you know you're not going to accidentally cancel the wrong trade because it's labeled. All right? That's the key. Now, I just do want to remind everybody we have a webinar coming up today. It's a good webinar. I'm going to teach everyone how to create your own schedule and do a test, all right? And do a test so that you know how to test your trades, design your own trades, everything. There's the link, 2 o'clock today, free webinar. Show you all the tools that I use to create the schedule every week. It's interesting. I think you'll find it interesting. All right, and then we do have an MNQ trade. I will set it up. I don't particularly care for this setup. I would do it as MNQ rather than the NQ, okay? And I would increase the stop. I would increase the stop to at least 100. So we'll do a breakout. We'll trigger at 829.59. Our bracket is 45. I don't have a problem with the targets. Targets can go higher if you want your second target to be higher, that's fine. If it hits my first target, I would move my stop to break even, BE. And then I would use a 100 tick stop with the MNQ. Now, sometimes on a report like this, you can get what we call a breakout for all, where GDP is the kind of event where many, many, many different instruments will move on this news, right? You might get gold, you might get bonds, you might get the euro, you might get the RTY, you might get, you follow me, right? You get a lot of movement from a lot of different instruments. And then sometimes you get that breakout for all kind of explosion in one direction from all your instruments. When that happens, breakouts obviously are great to trade. Now, sometimes, even with a breakout for all, you can get a trap trade that works. And that's a good thing. All right. Sometimes you can still get a nice trap trade even when there's a breakout for all. POTUS to speak again. We don't automatically create replays, but Mandinga, because this is streamed on YouTube, the replay will be on YouTube. So it's a yes. Okay? But you'll have to go to YouTube, our YouTube channel, to get it, to watch it. All right? Generally for members also, if you don't know me by now, you know generally that all you have to do is ask me to do something for you, and most probably if it's a reasonable request, I'll do it. So if there's a video that you're just dying to see because you wanted to, understand something you didn't understand, I'll make a video for you. So all you have to do is ask. Most of the time I can do it. All right, so that MNQ setup, I was just testing my brackets to make sure they're manageable. So looking at our setup on the MNQ one more time. And the reason I like MNQ rather than NQ is reduced risk. That's really the reason. The breakouts have not been phenomenal on GDP. So if I'm trading a breakout, I'd rather do it with reduced risk. And the MNQ, you could add a couple of contracts if you want to. It's 50 cents a tick. So it can be very reasonable to trade the MNQ, but you could add a couple of contracts and then you can make a decent profit as well. How would you add a contract? Position 1 size is a 1. That means you have one contract for the first target. Make that a 2 or a 3 if you want to increase your profits. And then, of course, you're also increasing your risk proportionately as well. So we'll do this in prop account 12. And our breakout for the MNQ is all set. Um, is there any occasion for that 9 o'clock talking, Calvin? I did not see that anywhere in the news. Charles, why are you not knitting? Why are you on the internet and not in the room? And Charles, why are you not in the room? Just curious. Both of you can be in the room, right? You know that. Oh, okay. Knitting, you're in the room. I got you. Charles, you're welcome to come in the room also. All right. Gold looking a little bit volatile here, folks. It is bullish, but it's not monstrously bullish today. It could be responding to Russia's no progress with Ukraine negotiations comment. That's certainly possible. Russia, man, oh man alive. Can't get them to just join the world as people, you know? Some governments don't want to be in the world. I don't get it. Personally, I don't get it. Isn't it preferable if we all just get along? All right. Let's, we only have 3 minutes, folks. I was going to show some videos, but I'm not. So I'm a little bit concerned about gold's behavior. Um, don't forget, when you enable a trap trade, you got a break even button. You got to close the trade button. We don't use adjust. You got to cancel the outer tier button if both orders don't get filled, and then combine your orders. So, in these markets, everyone, I don't have to tell you, I don't have to tell you that there's a lot of risk trading these markets. These are hard markets to trade. We've had, we've certainly had our share of canceled trades. I'm happy to say we have not had a lot of disastrous trades in these difficult markets. We've had some very nice winners, um, and we've had some muted responses, more than normal. And when you think about if you were with us during the pandemic, it was harder to trade. That was the hardest time ever in all the years that I've been here, and I've been here for eight years. The pandemic was the hardest trading I can ever remember because news didn't move at all for months and months and months. So Calvin, I don't think that guy is going to win. I don't think he's going to be the mayor of New York so quickly. He might just be a little bit too radical, leaving a passageway for Curtis Sliwa, the guardian angel lunatic, to become the mayor. And who knows? Cuomo, I won't go away. Cuomo will probably run as an independent because people like him never go away. They just can't stop. Please stop. That's what the voters said. Please stop. Okay, here come our orders. I do believe I'd rather be filled to the long side with gold. Now, that was just a chop move. It didn't fill us in either direction. I would cancel the MNQ personally. It's just not the kind of reaction you want to see. I'm canceling the MNQ. I might be sorry, but there's a lot of difference in the news. You got good core durables. Even the GDP news is confused. I mean, it looks like, honestly, it looks like, okay, we got a fill here. Now, I think we're going to get shrink your gold target. I think we can get a change in direction on gold here. I do think it's possible. There's good news and bad news. Now, I will increase the size of my stop a little bit because I want to give this trade a chance to breathe. Now, here comes a change in direction, I would hope. You can bring your first order down if you want to try and get some profit if we get our change in direction. I'll probably put my stop below the 6 p.m. below the 6 p.m. open, which is here. I think if it gets there, gold is going to test the low and it'll ruin this trade. I think if we chop around here, we could get a recontinuation of the bullish gold move. But I will say it's struggling. It's definitely struggling. So we need this reversal to take place. It's not taking place. Now, in a trade like this, when you're not getting the reversal the way you want, you can combine your orders. It would combine both orders into one so that ideally the original reason we did that was to make it easier to get out of a trade. I'm going to try and just be patient here. Just going to try and be patient. If it doesn't work, it's really going to hurt. It's really going to hurt. Right now, it's not working at all. And it would have been a great breakout. I do not have a good feeling about this trade at all because it really seems like for whatever reason, there might be something being said. I don't see anything being said politically that is pushing gold down after it had been up. But we need quite a change here if this trade's going to work. I would, in this instance, I would combine my orders and I would be looking to get out anytime we get something akin to a profit, if we can get it. It all depends how much risk you're willing to take. We're getting a reversal, all right? Now our MNQ would have worked. I definitely probably should have just stayed with the MNQ. I am turning off that breakout. Now, normally, gold goes in a different direction than the indexes these days. Do not have a good feeling at all about this trade, folks. At all. If it's going to test the low, I'm doomed. Nah, we're doomed. It's going to test the low. So gold's going to test the low. It's almost a guarantee that it's going to test the low here. So if it does a little bit of a reversal, I think it'll be a miracle if we survive this. Now, I've increased my stop multiple times to see if I can survive, but now we're so close to the low that if I get stopped out, if I can, I'm gonna immediately go short for a test of the low to try and make some of the money back if I can. So we need a little bit of a miracle here, which I don't think we're gonna get. So an anomaly kind of move from GDP, which we haven't seen this kind of move in, what do we say, 14 months of reports. We haven't had this kind of a move, and that's why we go with the setup that we had. So here comes our stop. And now I'm going to either blow this account or it's going to test the low. And I'm not going to make back nearly anything compared to what the trap cost me. But I think it should test this low. And if it doesn't, it's a shame. So let's see what happens. You've got mixed news. You've got news all over the place. You've got good durable goods. You've got GDP that was worse than expected quarterly. You've got the index that was better. You've got GDP sales that were worse. You've got initial jobless claims lower than expected. So you've got a pretty big collection of mixed news. And it is, it's certainly frustrating. The NQ uh, just responded slowly. That's all that it was. It was just a slow response. The MNQ breakout today was probably a breakout for all. Today was a breakout for all, and obviously I can't do anything right. The trap didn't work, and the test of the low isn't working either. Now it's pretty rare to get that kind of a push down and not get that test. But this is a major change in direction, and I don't think this is now going to turn back around and test the low. I'd be surprised. I've seen anything happen. Anything can happen. It's pretty disappointing. So let's see if gold does that test. It's not very bullish anymore. It's only up a couple of bucks, which is nothing in the life of normal gold value. All right, I do want to thank everybody who watched us on YouTube, folks. I guess I'll stay here. We're going to get ready. We have another room. When's our next room? 9:30 for pending homes and natural gas. So for regular members, we'll be back 9:30 for pending homes and natural gas. All right, so maybe gold is still going to go test that low. Let's hang out a little bit and see if it does. Alfonso, not a bad decision, Alfonso. Not a bad decision. Sometimes taking a smaller loss than taking a full stop makes sense. Now, look, should I have taken my profit there? I'm trying to be patient and letting it test the low. I really think it's going to hit the low, but I've been burned by gold before, and I might get burned by it now because that might have been our test of the low, right? Very often it will test the low and break it. So it didn't test it, didn't hit it, but it got a couple of ticks away, which is a valid test. I'm a little bit worried. All right, everybody on YouTube, I want to thank you for joining with us. And we will be streaming tomorrow also at 8 o'clock, the PCE price index. So you're welcome to join us again, 8 o'clock. So I'll see everybody on YouTube. We are staying in the room for a few more minutes, regular members. But on YouTube, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock if you want to join us then.